Okay, now this dream I had was a great dream. It was really awesome. Um, you have to forgive me. I gave you the wrong date on the last dream. This dream I had today, it is February 2025. In this dream, my father and I are in Orlando because we live in Florida. And there's this big, beautiful propane storage truck. You know, the trucks that drive around to deliver propane to people's homes. This thing looked brand new. Somebody had really taken good care of it, and it was parked in the gasoline station. And the owner came out and said, "Yeah, we're trying to sell this truck for the previous owner. He's getting out of the business. He can't make any money." And my dad at first thought it was a different type of truck, and I says, "Oh no, Dad, look on the side. It's got the propane flame on the side of the tank." I said, "This is definitely a propane tank. It's a propane trucker." And so we asked the owner. The owner says, "Yeah, it's only $2,400." I said, "What? $2,400?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "We put it out here yesterday, and we've had so many people wanting to buy it, but they just couldn't come up with the money." I said, "You mean to tell me people couldn't come up with $2,400 to buy this truck?" And he says, "Yeah." And I noticed I looked across the parking lot, and there was this man sitting in his minivan, and he was just staring at the truck. And the owner told me, he said, "That guy over there in the truck." He says that guy can't even get a loan on the collateral of his house to buy the truck because he really wants to buy the truck. He thinks he can make money with it. And I says, "Well, yeah, the truck's only $2,400. It's actually worth probably $250,000. This truck." So the owner looked at us and he said, "Well, why don't you guys take it home for the evening and drive it around? And if you like it, you can pay me the money tomorrow morning." So my dad and I says, "Okay, we'll take it." And the next thing I know is I'm back, and this happened in Orlando. The next thing I know is I'm back with my wife. We're staying in one of the nicest resorts in Walt Disney World. I was really surprised how nice it was because usually I don't stay in nice places. I'm a pretty conservative, simple type of guy. But this place was really nice. And when we lived in Tampa, which is only an hour away, but we were going to fly back to Tampa. And I thought to myself, well, that's unusual. Do we have that kind of money where we can just fly instead of drive? And so I says, well, I need to take this truck back. I says, and she was packing. So I went out to the elevator, but for some reason, and I don't get lost, but for some reason, I kept getting in different elevators and they were going up and down and up and down. And it would just seem like I was all over the place at this resort trying to get out of this resort. And then I ended up on the tram system, which took me around the resort. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to go all the way around. Finally, I get into this propane tanker truck, which was almost like brand new. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to buy this. I already have too many businesses that I'm managing, and I just don't want to manage another business. Which told me for some reason I had fallen into quite a bit of wealth and I had quite a few number of companies, and I just didn't want to run another one. So I says, let me take it back to the gasoline station and tell the owner, hey, thanks for letting me take it home for the night. Check it out, but we're gonna decline. But the problem is when I got in the truck and I started to drive back to the gasoline station, I couldn't find the gasoline station. I hit so many of them, which was kind of weird. Finally, I said, well, I'm going to miss my flight. I'm just going to take it to local police department, which I did. Went in there. I told them the story. I says, listen, if the owner comes calling, he's looking for his propane truck. Here's the keys. I just couldn't find the gasoline. Couldn't find the gasoline station, and I got to fly out. So here's the keys, and I left it there. And then that was the end of the dream. Now, as I prayed throughout the day, and I said, Lord, I know that these dreams you're giving me are not literal; they're symbolic. They're mysteries. It says in the Word of God that God talks to us in the dark sayings of the night in dreams and in visions. I said, what does all this mean? He said, son, the reason all those people that were trying to buy that nice truck couldn't come up with $2,400 is because the banks and the credit card companies, they're going to stop loaning money. You're not going to be able to get a loan from anybody. And even though it was such a low price, nobody could get a loan to buy the truck. He says, you could buy it because I had blessed you. And then he said the reason that the truck was so brand new is because And the reason that you were in elevators going up and down is because energy prices are going to go up and down drastically. He says energy is going to become so cheap that the guy that was transporting the propane couldn't make any money simply transporting propane is the reason why he was selling it, because energy prices had become so cheap he couldn't make no money. So I understood that part. And then, of course, the elevator's constantly going up and down the elevators. At first, it was, and I hadn't made the decision to buy the truck yet, is because at first, the energy prices were constantly fluctuating on the stock market up and down crazily. I mean, radical swings to the point where it became so dirt cheap gasoline, propane, all that stuff with oil, just super dirt cheap that even people working in the industry weren't making any money because it was so cheap. So that's basically the end of the dream that I can remember at the moment. Um, yeah. And then I made it back to the resort and we flew back to Tampa. So, and it's amazing because I hardly ever dream dreams with my dad and my wife. So that was really neat. It was a very encouraging, uplifting dream. Not like the ominous one I had the other day that was very sobering. But yeah, pretty amazing stuff. Anyway, I want to start recording all these dreams because man, I'm just getting so many of these dreams. It's just incredible. If you really do ask, and if you really do ask your prayers, if you're very specific with your prayers, God is going to answer those prayers. And that was one of the things that I prayed for. I took my January 1st, instead of partying and drinking or recovering from a hangover, I decided to fast and pray and write down my prayer requests for 2025. And some of those prayer requests, I won't go into all of them, but one of them was to have visions and dreams of the future, of my future, and of the future of the planet, of humankind. And wow, I really been getting quite a few dreams here lately. Matter of fact, that Mike Johnson dream I had several months ago, that looks like that actually came to pass. He really kind of turned a corner. So anyway, that's it. God bless y'all.